We are here to visit Scott's studio because he got some really nice toys and gears.
What's on the list today?
Oh, not this one. Well, and don't drop the lens like A7S2.
And welcome to my place. I'm Hogman.
And I'm already here.
Yes, and here we are at Scott's studio, and there's plenty of shizzle to fiddle with.
Oh shit, so I'm sorry. It wasn't working before.
Holy shit.
Remember,
I don't know
lock,
what I'm doing.
Lock, don't panic. Whatever happens, don't panic.
Stop. Holy crap. Alright, let's do the serious stuff after I upload my Snapchat. Okay, done. Right. Today we got like 50s. We got the nifty 50s.
And then we got the
51.2 L lens. How about this? But this is on E mount. We can put this on an A7S II, but we think that's not good enough.
Scott has a gift for us.
Oh,
S5. Put it in.
Put it in.
gently.
Now this camera prime is actually based on the steel lens. The planar design is actually really similar to the one that we reviewed like 5 years ago, the ZF50. And it got like two spherical elements to eliminate distortion, two special glass elements to eliminate color fringing, and it got like T-star coating to eliminate ghosting and flaring, this kind of stuff.
This has a massive manual focus pull. It's a 300-degree turn from infinity to macro.
Closest focusing to infinity is like shit, right? Well, also this lens, the mount is interchangeable mount. That means that this is Sony E mount, but then you can change it to Canon mount, Nikon F mount, and
Micro Four Thirds,
PL mount.
mount.
And you can buy separate of this mount yourself and then change it by yourself.
That's actually a really great thing about it, because as a filmmaker you might shoot, maybe you might shoot with different bodies. You might shoot with a 5D Mark III, and then you might change to something like an FS5. So it's great to be able to change the mounts whenever you please.
When, especially when like, Canon is kind of shit now, so you change to Sony, so you can change the mount and keep the lens.
Do we like the bigger one or do we like the smaller one? Always go for bigger, right?
Now these lenses, the cinema lenses, they're measured in T-stops. This has got a T-stop of T1.5. Now T stands for transmission stops, and it's actually measured at the sensor, so how much light actually hits the sensor itself, whereas the other 50 its f-stops is actually measured at the aperture opening.
Rightio, on with the bokeh test, and at Digital-Rev TV we love looking at balls, bokeh balls that is, and ooh la la, wide open, all the balls look, well, pretty much the same, with the exception of the 1.2 having the bigger balls. But remember, it's not about the size of the boat, it's about the motion in the ocean. Stop it down a little bit, you start seeing all shapes and sizes. Zeiss with its 14 blade aperture looking very good there. If you look even closer you can start to see some shapes and edges. The 1.2 still looking good, but just not as good as the Zeiss, and well, for the 1.8, well, it just looks like a pentagon, doesn't it?
Oh, so follow focus. Now Scott's going to help me pan between lock and beta. So what I'm going to do is, on the follow focus, as an assistant to the DP, I'm going to mark the points where it's in focus, so I can rack focus every time we pan from one subject in the foreground and another subject in the background, which is lock. So here, focus is correct, lock, so I'm just going to mark it. All right, good. We're going to set that point for focus. Good. And 3, 2, 1, action.
Now the follow focus is a great tool, especially for filmmakers, anyone in serious video production, especially DPs who need an assistant to help them rack focus. However, for indie filmmakers, run-and-gun shooters, or even DSLR videographers, follow focusing is something that you really don't need, and for still photo lenses you can rack focus just as easily.
Look at that, man. So perfect.
Now on the 1.2, I don't have anything right now to really utilize the follow focus. Therefore, I'm using the focus peaking on the FS5 to give me a hand. Whilst there wasn't really any problem focusing on the still lens, I did miss having that longer focus pull just to get me that extra detail.
Now we have this Canon 50 f1.2L lens. We are looking at how does it fare under lens flare and other ghosting and stuff. Now this apparently got some super Spectra coating on it. See the contrast. We're looking at the contrast, like backlighting. And now this is a Canon 50 1.8 nifty 50. It probably got whatever. I don't think it got coating at all. Probably my glasses got better coating than that, but cheap. Oh, with the size, it got some special glass element to eliminate flaring and ghosting, and it also got like some internal light trap. It's like some interstellar whatever, like trap lights, like black hole and stuff. But also across the different lenses in this CP lenses line, all the lenses have similar color renderation thing. So when the cinematographer change different lenses across the movie, you won't see different color renderation, different kind of bokeh, this and that.
Now if we take a closer look at these, then you realise that holy crap, Zeus is bid. The fringing on the 1.2 is so bad. The Zeiss only being marginally better than the 1.8, but to be honest, colour fringing isn't rare in the case of fast lenses. It is challenging to create a well-controlled fast lens. So actually the surprise comes in seeing the CP.2 not having much fringing itself. Now onto Locke's fabulous face. So yes, the contrast is better on the 1.2, but in terms of colour and skin tone, give me that CP2 any day. Yeah, well, that and the fact that Locke looks like a little cute kawaii kitten. Oh, look at Locke, so kawaii. Oh.
Well, focus breathing is not a common term for still photographers, but still photographers do experience that as well. For example, on tripod, maybe landscape, something like that, you really carefully compose, and then after you compose that, lock down the tripod, and when you focus, it zoom a little bit, it ruins your composition.
Basically when like the angle or the size of the image changes during focusing. So from foreground to background, the image will seem to kind of like distort and get larger or kind of shrink down, and that would be breathing, just how you breathe normally.
But it will be more of a problem for taking video because you see all the movement of that breathing. It could be distracting.
But that could also be a good thing. It might be an undesirable trait for some, but it also could be a very good looking desirable trait if someone wants to like pull more attention into a certain subject matter.
Now pay particular attention to the bottom left hand side of the screen where the arrow is and the arrow itself in relation to the rest of the frame. You'll notice that the CP2 has considerable breathing despite it being a cine lens. As for the 1.2, well, it hardly has any breathing at all, if any. And for the 1.8, well, what can I say? It's $100. Yeah, cheap. Good price.
Well, while I'm showing off the focus breathing, you can also see this kind of follow focus. You can even use it like this. You just use your finger.
Now, so far, the Zeiss CP2 seems to be the much greater lens choice, and for $4,500 you would expect so too. But when you're filming a narrative and in terms of pure visual perception, can you really tell the difference between these three lenses? So for the next test, we're going to show 3 clips back to back, and each clip was shot using a different lens here. So again, visually, can you really tell the difference between these 350s? Well, some of you might have had an easier time telling the difference than others, and there are distinct differences between the three. But to be honest, it's actually quite challenging to say which lens is which, and the end results might even surprise you. So the question is, do you really need a CP2?
So what we have learned, we find that this actually do round the bokeh balls. Well, 14 aperture blades, of course, it do round the bokeh balls than the both Canon lens. And then, although the Canon lens give better contrast, but it really quite shit with color fringing. But we love the color skin. We love the skin tone from this lens better. But to be honest, the difference is not huge. It's really slight difference between the cameras. So yeah, the difference between all three lenses is not huge, especially when you take video. Even the 24-105 Canon L lens was more than enough for us taking DigitalRev YouTube video for like ages. Actually, to be honest, this is not too bad for taking street photography. I mean, with the focus peaking of the A7S, I mean, the focus ring is so easy to use. But still, this really depends on what your requirement. Do you really want the difference between this, the slight difference between this and the Canon? They do have a difference, to be honest. They do have a slight difference. And after all, this is a Cine lens. The biggest difference is that this focusing ring, well, it works with a follow focus, so you can get the focus right every single time between cuts so that you don't wear out your talent. If that's that kind of video you're going after, you benefit from this kind of lens a lot. But for us, gun and run, nah, this is too big.
So the CP2. For those who are heavily invested into video production and filmmaking, this is a beautiful lens. Sure, there are better, there are ultra primes, there are master primes, but for a CP lens, this is pretty damn good. But looking back to the test we did, having super expensive gear doesn't actually mean you get super awesome shots. A videographer is only really limited to his or her knowledge in cinematography. Therefore, it doesn't really matter if you get yourself a 1.8, a 1.2 or a Zeiss CP.2. What really matters is how to tell a story visually. But if you have the money for it, well, why not?